I will build a great, great wall on our southern border, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall. Mark my words.
I have a dream.
I got a dream.
One day.
I had not sent classified material nor received anything marked classified.
That one day.
Clinton, I don't believe that she is qualified.
I have a dream.
Lock her up. Lock her up. Lock her up.
Hello, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Craig and Greg Show. This is our first airing, and what we strive to do here is we're just going to report the news, the weekly, basically anything relevant to politics from a millennial perspective. Me and Craig are going to be your two hosts, and every week we are going to have a panel of, ideally, a diverse group of different millennials.
And this isn't going to be biased either. We both have very opposing views.
Our goal is the way right now when millennials are talked about in the media, in the media, in the media.
That was
in the media.
That's something Trump would have said.
No, it's not something Trump would have said. I'm not. Either way, we're looked at as some kind
the
of
cyber. That's
the
his,
cyber.
That's what I'm
or the Facebook. You know,
the
Facebook.
You
get on the
cyber,
Facebook. You get on the Twitter.
The nuclear.
Search on the Google.
It was definitely a Trump.
Either way, we want to show how diverse and complicated the millennial vote is, and why I think it's so difficult in this current election to try and figure out what our demographic is going to do. So we're going to try and bring on all kinds of different ends of the spectrum. And also, we're heavily interactive show. We're going to need feedback. We'd like to hear what you guys want to talk about.
If you want to email us, you can email me at craigryan@usa.com.
And for the moment, Craig, email him for me too, and Craig will make sure that I get the
We're going to work on getting new emails. Mine will even change too. We're going to go with the domain to the editorialreview.com.
As of now, any feedback. Positive,
.us,
negative.
My bad.
If you're going to get criticized negatively, try not to make like ad hominem attacks. Try and offer like a suggestion on how we can...
Or research. Research is appreciated.
Yes, yeah. Anything that we haven't read, that was poorly thought out. But
if you feel compelled to message us, just message us. I'm looking for anything, basically.
Craig enjoys fighting with people online. Yes, it's a professional troll.
I don't know if I'll respond to your email, but I may bring you up on the air.
Yes, and hey, if you want to call in and live recording, what could go wrong with that, Alex?
We can do that.
What could possibly go wrong with us accepting live phone calls?
We can do live recording. It's possible.
But like I said, we're an upstart show. We're an upstart show, and I guess all we're going to do here is jump into it.
Let's get going. I'm ready to go.
I guess currently this week seemed like the millennial week for each campaign, where all the surrogates came out trying to sound cool. We got Hillary's big new ad that we'll bring up later.
It's that time of the election where everybody realizes they need one more voting demographic, and it's got to be the young people.
So the question is, how do you get to us?
Because we are... Because our voting demographic does not like to vote.
Well,
we're stubborn.
Let's hear. We have a quote here from Eric Trump, Donald Trump's youngest son. Not the brightest bulb. He's more... Donald Jr. is more the thinker. Eric's a little more the... Take a picture.
Just so I don't have to call
selfies.
Just so I don't have to call the lawyer, Greg. What show did you hear this on?
Oh, from Outnumbered. It airs at noon on Fox.
Okay, here we go.
Donald Trump is gaining a big edge on social media despite the Clinton campaign's large web team. Trump has nearly 12 million followers on Twitter compared to Clinton's nearly 9 million. On Facebook, Trump has nearly 11 million likes compared to Clinton's 6 million plus. By the way, millennials are 35 and under. I need glasses to read the prompter out here. How much weight did you say? Do you put I think I said 25. How much weight do you put in all the social media? Because you saw us in the break. We're all over it. We're reading it. We're looking at it. Sometimes I wonder if we read too fast each other on the couch. How much weight do you put in all that?
Listen, a lot, right? I mean, millennials take a lot of millennials, first of all, they don't have a house phone. Right? They don't. I mean,
I do.
They don't have.
Which you know that.
Most of their stuff comes off of YouTube.
And I have a TV.
And off their phone. I mean, it's just very, very different.
I have
What's relatable about Hillary Clinton to millennials? She's been a politician longer than all of them have been alive. I mean, she's been a politician longer than I've been alive. Think about that, right?
What's relatable about your dad, though, to millennials?
Well, I think he's a guy who's been an entrepreneurial guy. He's built an amazing company. He's become the epitome of the American dream. He's gone from just about nothing into, a man who just,
nothing. You got $1 million. Wait, come on.
Listen, he's built an unbelievable empire. He's epitomized what America's all about: opportunity and working hard and being able to achieve your dreams and what you want to succeed. Right? It's no different than a Zuckerberg, right? Who went out with a great idea like a Facebook and developed this idea and built it and grew it and grew it and grew it. That's achieving something, right? And I think it's very different than a person who's been a career politician. And I also don't think, in fairness, I don't think millennials relate to policy very well because they haven't lived their lives long enough to understand so many of the issues that influence, meaning the broad stroke of issues, right? I mean, they obviously understand a lot of issues as it pertains to them, student debt and this and that, but I think maybe taxes and things might be a little bit less significant than other issues, and so
Craig, because we know you don't care about
between somebody who's constantly talking about
none of us care about taxes.
And this and that.
Let's generalize.
A man who's built a great company.
Millennials care about fluff over substance. I mean, I don't think
that's not true at all. Millennials care a lot about the economy. Something I
agree.
Eric, you and your father talk a lot about, and
she saves him here.
It's a lot of
takes him right out of that.
Millennials aren't necessarily 16, 17, 18 years old anymore. Some of them are at the younger end, 18, 19, 20, but many of them moved into their early 30s and they're buying homes and they're buying cars for the first time, having children.
At the higher end of millennials, they're actually
many of them are still looking for work and saddled in college debt. So don't rule out the economy as number one. That being said, don't rule out your presence on social media, your sister's presence, your brother's presence. With just your team, you have a reach of over 30 million on social media. That's got to be doing something.
Guys, we're humans. We're humans that are speaking to that social media platform, right? I mean, Hillary has about 100 people.
Thank you for clarifying.
I didn't think you were a human before.
I'm not.
I've got myself. I do all my social. I was tweeting as I was walking into the room today. Right? I mean, I think that's very, very relevant. But also, look at 100%, right? I mean, there's a difference between a robot speaking and a person speaking. Right, and I think that's very, very transparent. If you have to put H after a tweet, you're not really communicating to somebody.
But I think I want to touch on just that human factor that you're talking about too. It's being genuine. It's authenticity. I watched the entire Between Two Ferns, and I'm actually one of his fans. I like Zach. I think he's very funny. He didn't
during the mid break.
Well, you didn't tell me to, so I just kept playing it. I thought it was relevant.
You got to tell me to stop.
It is relevant. It is relevant. It's just a little long-winded there to be played out, but we get the gist of it.
So they just don't care about the millennial vote at all.
Well, and I think way too much stock is being put into how to reach millennials through social media. I don't think we take it as seriously as they believe that we do.
Well, I don't know about that.
It's definitely a way to, from a marketing perspective, it's definitely a way to capture the attention. Yes. But from an effective standpoint,
to persuade,
I hear your argument, Greg.
They get to when you bring up the 30 million followers of Trump. Julie says this at the end of this interview. I follow Donald Trump, but I definitely don't support him. I like to hear some of the outrageous things he says in live time. But that by no means shouldn't be confused as one of his. I'm not one of his supporters.
I've been hit on social media already because I like Hillary Clinton's page. Because I want to see what she says, and I want to make my outrageous comments on her post.
You're troll baiting.
But I've actually been attacked from Trump supporters for liking her page because everyone obviously knows I'm a conservative.
There's some vicious online Trump supporters.
Oh, the Trump supporters.
I hope we get some of them. I'm sure they're going to have some. We get into this debate here. That's a lot to unpack.
That's a fair point, though, because I think what a lot of people are doing, just off the top of their head, is A, they are generalizing, which is, it's neither here nor there, but it's happening. But B, you're right. Not every follower on Twitter or Facebook is necessarily a vote. No. They're not a fan. I guess that's where the
spectacle.
That's where the celebrity
watching a spectacle.
Aspect
it's a free spectacle.
Is an election supposed to be a popularity contest, or is it supposed to be based on substance? I mean, that's a basic question that we have to try to ask ourselves as Americans right now.
If you didn't follow Trump on Twitter, you missed his 5 o'clock in the morning tweets. Well, I don't know if he wakes up. We'll get into that in a little bit.
This is my question, though, from an editorial standpoint. From an editor, if I'm putting myself in an editor's shoes here. Is Donald Trump's tweet news?
To me, it's embarrassing to have these two senior citizens tweeting more than someone our age.
I can't.
That is.
Yeah.
That's
It's weird.
something
I don't
like
tweet.
the fact that
I don't tweet.
Hillary's. I follow her too, and her tweets are terrible. They're boring. It's just not exciting.
I don't think she's actually using her own Twitter.
I don't think she does.
Well,
They
that
shouldn't
that
be-
was the point
A
they made in the
serious
clip.
adult should not be spending this
Trump
much
is.
time. I know it's embarrassing. To me, it's a problem that he spends more time thinking about a clever Twitter post than he does his foreign policies. Than he does how exactly this wall is going up. It's
There's your
more of just-
unpreparedness there.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's flagrant. It's an in-your-face unpreparedness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get though it does have a flash advertisement purpose, but to think that all millennials are just sucked in by a catchy song, a couple of like flashy objects, some celebrities shame us into voting in one direction or the other, I think that's a little crude.
Social media is important, though. It's kind of like doing a rally with your own supporters. It just amps up your supporters when you get a good tweet out there, a good Facebook post. Something they share, something they get hype about, whatever.
The hype, the enthusiasm. It
Yeah,
helps
it
build
just-
the enthusiasm.
You got to continue to build the support within your own base.
You feel like you're bigger than you're part of something bigger than you because a
One-
whole bunch of people are thinking along the same lines.
Once you get out of, I think, your own supporters' ears, if your own supporter's not 100% on board,
Right.
you might lose them to the other side. So you just have to keep going with the tweets.
Well,
and the Facebook
I don't think you're
posts.
exactly getting swing votes that way.
don't know,
I think.
Oh, I don't think you're
that's,
gaining
you know,
votes that way, but I think you're securing your base.
Do you think there's any voter that's
So you need to secure
actually
your base?
voting for either candidate because of their social media presence? Do you think there are people that have been
There might-
wooed by
There
Donald
might be
Trump's
more young people.
stream of
that-
conscious Twitter feed?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Greg,
I
true
don't
or
think so
false?
either.
Donald Trump plays into the more uneducated person on average.
I don't really. That's not really debatable.
So you're saying true?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm not. Uneducated might be a slightly crude word.
It
for
is.
that. I mean more politically uninformed. People that don't spend that much time paying attention
Politically
to the news.
uninformed,
They're concerned about one issue, two issues,
Right.
which is perfectly valid.
That
But
plays
they aren't
in-
going to take the time to...
I'm pretty sure that's on both sides of the aisle, though.
a little
Yeah,
bit,
yes.
but general.
Yeah, I
but
agree.
that's
People
I
are
agree with
voting
that.
Democrat who don't agree with their economic views, but they like that they're for gay marriage and they're...
I would say, when I'm talking educated, I'm talking people that are turned off by Hillary being prepared for a debate. That doesn't make any sense.
I don't think anybody's turned off by that.
At a certain point, it's labeled her as a politician.
Well,
Almost the fact that
the
Donald Trump was
over-preparing-
so bad.
The over-preparing, maybe.
Well, how would you say she was over prepared?
Well, the fact that we haven't seen her on the campaign trail for since she collapsed, at least. Which that wasn't even.
She's actually been doing
she
more
was just
press
at a memorial.
conferences than Donald Trump has lately. Donald Trump just goes on Hannity and O'Reilly every night, and like a town hall with Sean Hannity. Can
Trump-
you really call that
Trump-
a press conference
I can
or a town
find
hall?
Trump every single day on something.
With the same people that won't check him. They ask him the same questions. They don't ask any follow-ups.
And Hillary's out there on hip hop interviews.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah,
So,
should we play?
I mean,
are we gonna play? Do you want to play a little bit of her ad? By the way, Alec, I don't believe we've introduced you yet.
sort of. I'm
Okay.
Alec.
Host of the Alec Italiano show.
Yes,
Much more locally centered,
I am. But
political based.
Definitely check it out.
Yes.
I definitely like to argue with you guys, though, and I'm sort of trying to run the background of the show here as well. So,
Yes.
you know,
Right now, Alec is one of our main panel member. Hopefully, over the next couple weeks, we'll be able to get a couple more people in here with.
We're gonna work on some
Oh,
things.
got some wild millennial contrast.
Yeah.
People-
we got some things going on. We just got to work on.
see, here's my
First
my
off, we
own-
gotta get our
my own
show
personal
going.
dilemma, as you like to point out sometimes, Greg, is I don't think like the average millennial does.
I
You
don't.
know,
I,
like,
I,
I'm not-
I think
definitely don't.
I think what we're showing there is I don't know if there is an average millennial
Fair
archetype
fair.
that
That's
necessarily
true.
when they're saying like
All of
when,
us
when
wanna
Hillary
be
puts
unique,
a focus
right?
group together
All of us
and it's
wanna
like
be unique.
how do we we all view ourselves. I think our generation more than others is radical
all think that.
individualization.
We all are
We're all a
individuals.
precious snowflake, and we all have our own like really deep thoughts that we've put a lot of time and effort into. And we want to be treated like adults.
Right.
A lot of things like when
I would say about 75% of us have no clue what's going on.
75. I wouldn't say millennials any more or less than other.
The average person.
Yes, I'd say
Yeah,
we
I
just
would say-
is.
And I think that's where we're getting generalized.
When
right
Eric
there.
said not enough
Right
life
there.
experience to think public policy, that is really insulting, especially coming from someone, a presidential candidate.
Why are
like,
my ideas on
especially
public
when
policy any worse than anybody else?
well,
That's the whole thing about
when
America, right?
Information is at our at our fingertips.
We
We can
grew
find out
up
anything.
We grew up being
Right
inundated
now.
with marketing.
So, like, we know what has happened over the entire course of our country's history.
And to get back to my educated comment that I made earlier, millennials are actually extremely educated
yeah.
compared to the past generations anyways.
School was harder for us than our parents because there's more accessible information.
I was just going to say that too. The internet has made so much more information accessible. So if you do actually care, you become a lot more informed than the average person. So,
But no, apparently we're just simple. We like bright, flashy lights, clever tweets, and you know that economy and taxes. We try and avoid that. I just want my free education.
all right, Greg, we're 15 minutes in. Should I play a little bit of this Hillary Clinton ad? It's 2 minutes long, 2.5 minutes long.
Do not play the whole thing.
No, it's
hilarious.
You can play
though.
some of it because it's pretty
play the
ridiculous,
beginning.
but-
Just play the first minute.
It's
and
hilarious.
the whole thing is pictures of like immigrants and Elizabeth Warren, Barack Obama, Joe
People who-
Biden,
And they
and Michelle Obama.
People who-
The cool kids. All the cool kids are getting together to a real sick beat. And they're trying to get us to all get together.
Basically,
We're rallying.
everybody who has said that she's unqualified for president is in this ad saying that she's ready to go.
All right, here we go.
Shameless.
I am really into electing Hillary Clinton.
So Barack
Like,
Obama,
really,
if you can't
really.
tell.
It's not me going through the motions here. I really
I'm pretty sure by definition.
Really?
That's
Please,
That-
I
me
do
too,
not
I
want to
thought.
get killed. That's what he said.
Here we go. Oh, now I'm into it.
Cards out to make Hillary Clinton the next
Oh,
president of
Pocahontas.
the United States.
Elizabeth
I
Warren
can't
is a
hear
saint.
you. Are you with me?
Her attack dog
fundamental choice
attitude.
about who we are as a people.
We are strongest when we bring our people together.
I see
Pause for
Americans of
emphasis.
every party and every background and every faith.
Oh, now
Men
every
and
different
women,
minority
young
imaginable
and
shown
old,
right now.
gay and straight, native born and immigrant.
That's who the hell we are.
Biden.
Joe Biden,
Just
rep
one
him.
candidate in this race.
You can tell who
who's
the cool
devoted
kids are
her
here.
life
Who gets up every single day and
And
fights
hasn't
for us.
accomplished anything.
Known Hillary a long time. We've got to talk about what I know Hillary cares about.
Immigration reform,
Joe Biden,
student
why didn't
debt,
you run?
climate change.
Joe.
The answer is 100% clear that on every issue, Hillary Clinton is the superior candidate, hands down.
Why did they cut the
I'm
dates?
inspired
How
by
can
her
you say that
persistence,
before?
her heart, and her guts.
We're just going to play the whole
And I'm
ad.
inspired
might
by
as
her
well. Michelle Obama is a
lifelong
tank.
record of public service.
She's a beast.
No one
She
in
is.
our lifetime has ever had as much experience and exposure to the presidency.
Even
and yes,
more than the
she
presidents
happens
themselves.
to be a woman.
But she happens to be a woman,
How is Michelle? What?
I didn't know.
The choice
That she has
that you
more
make
exposure than presidency
that we
than a
make
president.
will determine
Michelle, you are a very smart
the direction
person.
of this country for a long time.
We need to pour every last ounce of our passion and our strength and our love
More
for this
than a
country
president?
More than
into
Bill?
electing Hillary Clinton as president of the United States of America.
I intend to be in every corner of this country to make certain that happens.
Every corner of his
I
beach
need you to
house
knock on
funded by
doors.
the
Stop.
I need you to
Beach
make
house.
phone
There's
calls.
no It's true.
You
There's
gotta talk to
absolutely
your
no
friends,
beach house. There's no beach
including your Republican friends.
Greg makes
You know, I
sense.
can, you know I can cut the
cannot
mics,
afford
right?
to
Do not,
squander
this is
this
our show.
opportunity,
Do not cut our mics.
particularly given the alternative.
I just have one message for you. Don't screw this up.
Boo.
You hear me?
Boo, Pocahontas.
All right.
And then at the end here, Barack and Michelle and
That-
Joe and
that-
Bernie.
That makes me want to
You?
vote for
Question
Trump.
mark? I thought it really.
That
is
makes
not
me
a-
want to vote for Trump.
I don't like the feeling that I'm being sold. Like, it's such shameless marketing that, like, our whole lives we've had products geared, like, the packaging.
Right.
The exact word choice. I'm just imagining
Who
Hillary's focus
donates
group
to that app?
sitting together and going, what can we do that's really cool? What kind of swag commercial can we get together to rock the young vote? I think a lot of our generation identifies that as shameless pandering without... There was no policy, and I don't believe there was one clip of Hillary Clinton talking in that entire 2-minute
No,
ad.
there wasn't.
Which that might be why it's effective, honestly.
That's I agree. I was
Yeah,
just,
she
just gonna say
speaks.
that.
There was nothing that has to do with
She
her.
can't,
It was more...
and you can't really talk about her record or anything.
And if we have...
There was no policy, though. You're right.
Nothing. Not
and that's
one
why
thing.
it was geared toward
All it was that
millennials, wasn't it?
She
right?
cares about immigrants. Yeah, it was
It's
just...
geared toward
It was
millennials
what
'cause they
Eric
think
said.
we're
It was
stupid.
just looking at us as if we're a very
Right.
simple demographic.
Right.
Incapable of thinking past just our immediate
Student debt.
Yeah, student debt. Only things that are immediately relevant to us. When in reality, we're gonna have to deal with the repercussions of this president. Like a lot of our more baby boomer generation. Yeah, there you go. No.
Little Donald Trump sniffle reference.
Oh, yeah,
there for you.
it's the microphone, Alec. It is clearly the microphone.
They compressed it.
Yeah,
They
blame the
bombed
microphone.
an entire debate and blamed it on
Blame the microphone,
No,
right, Greg?
They admitted it.
Okay, on that note, let's get into the debate here before we waste too much time with Craig's radical conspiracies.
They admitted it themselves. It's not even Donald. It's the actual
For the
commission
record,
admitted it.
what they admitted to was that the acoustics inside the room were off for the first 7 minutes. As far as his TV presence, it was perfectly fine. And arguably, the first 7 minutes were his best.
If you use a compressor, you can pick up on the breathing a lot more.
The breathing was later on after it was fixed.
No, the breathing happened at the beginning.
It happened all over. I mean,
I've watched the debate.
Okay,
three
here.
times.
Okay.
Have you seen the clip? Of
Is it
I watched
really
it
going to
3 times.
impact who gets elected?
I don't think the breathing.
Is it really
I
going to
don't
impact?
understand.
No,
what
you're the
we're
one-
talking
yeah.
about. I'm just kind of making fun of it.
Yeah, you brought it up, Craig. I agree. This is otherwise. The only reason I think it's funny is because all this talk about Hillary's health this entire time.
Oh.
Hillary didn't move for an hour and a half. She just did that little
She had
shimmy.
another coffee.
She did that shimmy thing.
She
that
drank
did.
coffee,
That
which went viral on the internet.
What?
Which went viral? Her little shimmy.
Oh yeah, that was. I don't. You know what? At least if anything's gonna make her personable, I didn't mind the shimmy. I mean, it looked bizarre, but hey. I guess everyone is entitled to a shimmy once in a while. And
Everybody gets a one free shimmy pass.
Wouldn't it suck though to be their age and be running for president? Like typically when you're that age, you can kind of do whatever you want.
I'd want the beach house.
Yeah,
like I would.
Like Bernie made out on the deal.
I would think that.
Didn't you hear Elizabeth Warren? She gets up every single day and tries to help out this country.
Oh, she gets up every day.
Every single day, I believe was the quote.
Okay.
What was the conspiracy about the pillow?
What pillow?
Apparently, like she was carrying a pillow around, and that was a sign of like brain damage or something.
Hillary?
Yeah, like she was carrying a pillow.
I think Hillary's had brain damage for a while.
Okay, okay. Into the debate, Craig. Who do you think won and why?
Who do I think won?
Yes.
It depends on how we're looking at this. How we're looking at
well,
it.
how are you looking at
We're
it?
looking through it through the normal intellectual.
Are we rewiring the house now, Craig?
Craig has trouble with the word intellectual.
Sorry, intellectual.
A little irony there for you.
Sorry, I got my tongue tied.
Yeah.
Okay, are we looking through the intellectual view, or are we looking through the 2016 political race view?
Are you?
Let's go with the latter.
Because if you're looking at the typical...
Is this a nice way of saying dumb people?
Well, no, I'm saying in this election,
Yes.
I believe Donald probably won that debate, even though he looked like an imbecile.
On what? Okay, go ahead. What? Why? What did he do to win?
Because at the end of the day, all you really remember is how somebody made you feel, not actually what they said.
And how did he make you feel?
Me?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I'm asking you. Like, how?
Should I get on the couch and answer that?
His attacks on Hillary, I liked.
What he didn't attack Benghazi, which I thought he missed
I
that
know he missed that.
opportunity.
He did miss
didn't capitalize on the email because he immediately tied it
I
to his
do
tax
like.
return.
I
He
do like.
tied it to his tax
He
return.
brought up though that she's been doing this for 30 years. Oh, I'm sorry, 25,
Remember,
26.
ISIS has only
I don't
been
know,
around.
whatever.
Yeah, she's been battling ISIS for her entire
Okay,
life.
so he messed up and he forgot to mention that they've changed their names. Okay, they've been battling terrorists since before Bill Clinton has been in office. So she was
but what
in
about,
there.
Like,
As,
and Newt Gingrich, one of Trump's supporters, hasn't been doing that. Like everyone has been battling.
he's
radical
not
Islamic
debating Newt
terrorism.
Gingrich. He's debating Hillary Clinton.
Radical terrorism, though, has been an issue now for 30 or 40 years for everyone. Both sides of the aisle have not handled it well. Like for Trump to say that she is the only reason it hasn't worked.
Well, he's debating her though. He's not debating everybody else.
Yeah, I just think that's a silly assumption to say that Hillary could have somehow stopped ISIS by herself or
No,
stop.
not that she could fight to stop it by herself.
She
but
was Secretary of State.
You think about all the things
haven't
she's
had a
she's been
massive
saying the
terror
same things for 25 to 30 years, somewhere in that range. I'm sorry, Hillary, for messing the numbers up. Somewhere between 25 and 30 years, whatever she wants to claim credit for, because she was
Okay.
first lady of a governor state for those first whatever how many years. 25 to 30 years,
You're
she's been saying
considering
the
her as a
same
governor,
exact
or as the first
thing.
lady of Arkansas. You're
That's
considering
why.
that to be
That's
part-
why she claims it's not 30 years. That's why she claims it's only 26 years.
How would her as first lady? What could she have done to stop the spread of terrorism?
Nothing.
So to blame her for it seems
Well,
kind
she's
of.
supposed to be this big political smartest woman in the world. Shouldn't Bill have took her advice?
I think a lot of people actually made that argument though that she was.
What did they say? Bill had a couple chances to kill Osama bin Laden in the 90s, I believe, but he wasn't really viewed as a big threat until 9/11 happened, and then.
I don't know that.
I don't know about that.
Can't back that up.
I thought
Can't
I heard
verify
that today. I thought that he had appeared on the radar, but no one had really.
But my point is, she's been saying the same exact things for 30 years. Why has none of this been accomplished? Not like.
Okay, now Craig, if that's your view, since Trump,
She can't even pay her own female staff workers equal pay to men.
Okay.
I mean,
he made you feel better. Which I don't know how Donald Trump makes any.
He just solidified his base.
But
That's all he did.
from the intellectual normal person mind space,
Hillary won. Hillary destroyed.
why would you say that?
She seemed more prepared. She was ready to go. She knew what the questions were going to be. Mainly probably because she prepped them and gave them to the moderator.
Left-wing media conspiracy, Craig.
You know Lester.
Yeah.
He's so aggressive.
The right-wing media's conspiracy
think he
going
said a
after her
total of-
husband. The left-wing media's
Well, I think we can
conspiracy
tell that
supporting
Craig
her.
believes
I
that
don't
there was
know.
bias in the moderator, which is another thing that
Even though I think the moderator only said 20 words total.
he said nothing. He just
Yeah.
let them. He let them. They interrupted each other. They ran past their time. At
She
will.
was scratching her nose every time she was ready to go to the
She
zinger.
scratched her nose 3 times, and you could tell she was trying not to. You could tell, like, I know that's my husband's lying gesture. Like when Bill made the Monica comment, he did the big nose scratch in the press conference. You could tell, like, she was doing everything she
Isn't
could.
that one
not
of those
to-
things everybody always
Yeah.
does? is when they lie?
Why didn't they ever go to
bad body
Trump and
language
say,
now.
"Hey, your turn to respond"? They kept doing it for her, but why didn't they ever go and say, "Trump, your turn to respond to that"?
I
He
thought-
always
I
tried
thought
to.
Lester did that a few times.
I watched it 3 times.
Craig, how could you have watched that debate?
But
An
through
hour and a half
whose
debate
eyes
watched,
did you
sat and
watch
watched
it through, Craig? That's the question.
What?
Through whose eyes did you watch it through?
I feel like you were
Through
keying
mine.
in on it, especially if you thought sniffling only happened in the first 7 minutes. It was towards the end that it was bad. It wasn't the beginning.
The beginning, he was sniffling. That's what.
He sniffled the whole way through. I'm not. We're getting too hung
It
up on
wasn't
the
even
sniff.
sniffling. He was breathing, but okay, he was breathing through his nose.
So you think the moderator is biased, Alec? You don't.
Oh, you know me, being the classic journalist, I thought that the moderator should have played more of a role. Okay, I mean, there's a criticism. My other criticism, the media always gets lumped together, and it's going to be interesting to seeing the last debate being played out behind Fox, because if you really thought Lester Holt was being biased with the full 28 words that he said during the debate,
We just can't have a moderator then.
well, and I guess that's the way we're going towards it. But you're like the journalist is supposed to be that fourth estate,
No,
kind of keeping
I'm-
us all in check.
I'm fine with this. I'm just wondering why Hillary gets 3 home games and Trump gets 1.
3 home games.
It shouldn't even be like that. The media,
That's the way it is,
The
though.
media by
Fox
nature,
is his home.
It shouldn't be home versus away.
But that's what it is.
I know, but it doesn't. It shouldn't.
CNN
be like
is
that.
obviously biased towards Hillary. They didn't ask her one hard question.
I don't feel bad.
They didn't ask Trump one hard question either.
No, he didn't. He asked the straight up question and he gave the candidates the chance to.
He got the
excel
ball
or fail.
rolling, and then he
didn't
let
lead
it
them
go.
in any one direction. There was one point. I guess he could have asked Hillary a couple more times about the email, but
Who asked him about the email?
Well, it got brought up initially, and Hillary did the quick dodge, and
Trump
I guess
brought it up.
he could have followed it up again, but she was just repeated the same answer that she always does. It doesn't go anywhere.
The odd thing about
I could have
this
told you
debate-
everything Hillary was going to say beforehand.
The odd thing about this
Even
debate,
trumped up trickle down economics.
Except for that. I couldn't have said
Oh
what
yeah,
about
What a zinger.
That was a zinger
What a
right
zinger.
there. That was a zinger. she couldn't even remember trumped up trickle down.
as much as it pains me to say this, the candidates actually sort of self-moderated the debate for them.
Yeah.
Because if Hillary was going to go out there and say something outlandish, you knew Trump was going to go out there and call him.
All
on it.
the moderators should do is bring up topics.
That's all really Lester did.
I mean, I don't agree with you, but that's what happened
That's
in
what
the
should
last
happen.
debate. Now, like, you watch something obviously biased, liberal, something like the Newsroom, where they try to do the example of what a debate actually should be. I think it's obvious through that example that you're never going to get that. So, like, is this the next best thing?
I think Hillary did
I
a
kinda
good.
think so.
She did a good job of showing that she has no understanding of how a business works. Her whole tax the rich, the 1%, whatever.
Okay, yeah,
They
that's
never
a policy
pay
difference.
taxes.
It's an ideological difference. is
That's
what
not
it
a.
is. They've been,
But no, but it's a
they've been
serious
talking
thing.
about this for many elections.
She's using that system just to get to the same exact result Trump's trying to get to with his whole tariffs on foreign businesses. Both of them end up with the same result: the middle class pays, no matter what. There's no other way you go around it unless the government runs the business. And if the government runs the business, why do we need private people running the businesses and owning the businesses? Let's just let the government run it all, and we can all live on welfare and nobody can have jobs. Why don't we just take that route?
I assume you're being facetious.
I'm being a bit ridiculous, but that is like the end result.
Right.
Now, see, I guess to me, the debate, if you want to know either candidate's views on their public policy, as Hillary said, go to my website, which I hate when people read the name. HillaryClinton.com, HillaryClinton.com.
Her fact checker.
Tongue in cheek.
Yes, I get that.
I'm sure her fact checker was really,
but that's not the role. The role with the debate isn't necessarily for you to all of a sudden give your new public policy, or we know what that is.
You're there to defend it.
Yes, yeah, and to cross-examine your opponent.
Right.
So really, in my opinion, you don't win a debate. You only can lose it. And the way I guess you are perceived as winning is if you bait your opponent into saying something that can be used as a soundbite, into maybe making some sweeping assumptions or sweeping generalizations about their policy on the spot that they didn't necessarily plan. That kind of makes it sound a little bit more big government than it actually is. And you just do that through what I thought with Hillary was nice placement. Even things like the Machado. He didn't have to take the bait.
Right.
Like he could have just said, you know what,
He's
being a
bad with
pageant
that.
contest, running a pageant contest and running the country are two different things that require different
They can bait
mentalities.
him.
Which I think really got him at the end of the day, don't you think?
Which I think not only did he lose, I thought he got beat up
pretty
bad. Like, I'm trying to think for the first 30 minutes, I guess by the standards of he showed up, talked generally in complete sentences, didn't raise his voice, didn't say crooked Hillary.
Right.
By those standards, he did do that for the first 30 minutes. But he couldn't even go the whole time without bringing up the affair, which I thought, I'm not entirely sold that if he does bring it up, that it's going to help Hillary and hurt him. He might be able, I know there are some people in the news that hate Hillary so much, they want to see her just destroyed on national television, almost to a point where you hear people like Meghan McCain, they want to see her cry. And they were more mad that that Trump took a very passive-aggressive way of bringing it up. Is he didn't come out and actually call her out on
directly.
It. He just kind of took a little, it would be real mean of me to say something about your affair, so I'm not going to do that because I have respect for your family. Well, that's a dog whistle. Like, you are bringing it up.
If you didn't know about the affairs already, though, you didn't know what he was talking about.
And, this is one thing.
I agree. It's old news.
Well, as far as these affairs go, and like you said, old news, I don't believe it affects the millennial.
No.
A lot of them I don't even really know that she defended Bill against the people he was accused of raping.
When she thought when Bill was lying to her, saying that he didn't. She thought that these women were making it up because Bill was telling her that it never happened.
You sure about that?
Because
one of the women came out. One of the
Jennifer
women,
Flowers. He ended up admitting to it. But when Hillary went on the attack, she thought he was being set up.
Today I listened to an interview. I don't know the woman's name. The lady said that she was actually, after the encounter with Bill, Hillary put her arm around her, and it not immediately after, obviously, but some time after. But
you did a good job, honey.
Basically said, you're going to keep your mouth shut, right? She knew about it. She knows about these things. She's sticking with.
Okay,
but you think she's really?
It doesn't affect the voter of today.
And doesn't it? The more, especially when Donald Trump, when Newt Gingrich, Rudy Giuliani bring it up, it makes me think about their marriages. And honestly, if what I can relate more to, I know a lot more strained marriages that have stuck it through for the good of the family than I know billionaires who buy a young, get a new wife every 10 years.
I don't.
That's weird. To
I
me.
don't really know how Trump's going to attack her on that because that's where I think if I'm Hillary, I'd just go with that route.
No,
we worked our
don't
family.
say
We
it.
worked through it.
I think when he says this, when he starts bringing up her, I think of how odd Donald Trump's own relationship is. Some of the pictures he's taken with his daughter. He has a lot of. It's
No,
creepy.
I'm not saying. I'm saying Hillary just
She
says
doesn't have-
our family worked through it. That's
Well, yeah,
all I'm
well, that-
saying.
yeah, that-
if I'm her, that's what I would do.
Oh, I thought you were saying she should go on the attack on him.
No.
I don't think she should
Sweet.
get aggressive with this
Gotta
at
let
all.
me finish what I'm
Let the
saying.
surrogates.
Is it at all fair to say that this is personal life and it's none of our business?
No, because they're running for a public office.
So
That's just like the
all
taxes
things are
should
legal?
be. Yeah, if you want to live a personal, private life, then live outside of the public. You don't have to put yourself in front of the camera. You don't have to run for president if you don't feel comfortable talking about your personal.
Okay, well, I mean, celebrities aren't held to that same standard.
So
To a certain extent, they are with tabloids.
I guess what I'm trying to say is a celebrity and a politician at this point are essentially the same thing.
That is a very interesting subject. And what is the difference these days?
That's what I'm saying.
As these elections turn more into like a high school popularity contest than actually an
exactly
academic.
my point. When you see
Yeah.
Donald Trump do
Well, I think that's something we're going to be talking about in future episodes is the birth of the celebrity politician. Not the birth, because it's been here, but I think we're about to almost see a party
Ronald
form
Reagan,
around.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, it sort of started with him.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
So
right, there's a lot of examples.
I have some questions here though from something she raised.
Craig's got
How?
questions.
So she's going to force families or force companies to provide profit sharing to the not to the executives, to the working people in the low end. She's going to force them to give paid family leave. I thought that was just a benefit when you're choosing a company. I didn't know that we're going to actually force companies to do that. We're going to force companies to give sick leave, which I've worked at companies that don't give that, and I'm fine with the way they do it. And then we should change to debt-free college now instead of free college. I mean,
Tuition free.
no, she went to debt-free. That's what she said. Debt-free college instead of saying free college. Debt-free college, that's just us all paying for it.
No, it means you don't start paying until.
If we go to debt-free college, I'm going back to college.
When you buy a college.
And I might go to college 5 times.
When you buy a college education. Yeah, really, Craig? Do you want to go to college 5 times? If we got
Well, it
kids
doesn't
on
matter.
to
Even
fund
if
you
I
to go
fail,
to college, you wouldn't even want to go.
Even if I fail, I can still keep going.
The
It doesn't
idea
cost
is
me
though
anything more. I'm paying through taxes.
Are we sure about that though? I mean, is that how this is going to work with the student? Since millennials care so much about student debt, I mean, like if you fail college, do you get to go back over and over again, free? I mean, because I sort
I'm
of agree
assuming
with you
that
on
creates
this.
a Democrat voter.
I went to college and I paid for it and I had the debt to prove it. So why does anybody else in the future, not have to go through the same thing I did? Do I think it's too expensive? Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely too expensive.
Is making it go from too expensive to free the right answer? I mean, isn't this a classic case of can't we just meet in the middle? That like our parents' generation had no problem going to work, a couple summer jobs and working while they went to school to help pay for it.
See, the problem is
some debt is merited. I'm not afraid of debt as a young person. And
the problem is that once they started giving student loans to people who could not afford them and had no way to pay them back and were not going to get a degree
it's predatory
that
lending.
would be able to pay it back.
Predatory lending. It's been around forever,
but,
Craig.
But what's happened is the
with
colleges,
the housing burst.
And that's her husband for you.
Are we blaming Bill Clinton on the housing
Bill
burst?
Clinton for George Bush's housing burst?
For George Bush's.
Who's
Who's the one who came up with the housing
2008.
crisis? No, that was freaking Bill Clinton enforcing all these banks to give loans to people who could not afford them. 2008's when it collapsed.
We're digressing.
Just because it collapsed in 2008, that's not when it started.
I know. I would
it was
blame-
created during the
I would
Clinton
say
era.
it was created during the Reagan years and in the 80s.
Oh my god.
Trickle down economics is what led.
This is what we're looking at, people. These are your whatever.
But you're really misspeaking on the tuition free thing.
No, the tuition.
What the current argument is that when you graduate, you have your student debt, you pay a fixed interest rate.
Right.
Regardless of whether the college helped you get the job you were looking for or not. So what she's saying is that you pay a percentage of your salary, like based on the job you get coming out of college. If you went to school to be an engineer and you end up in the hole $100,000 and the only job you can get is, say, managing a retail store.
That's how it is now, Greg.
Well, then you don't pay as much.
So we don't need to change anything then. That's what you're saying?
No.
Because that's not what she's
No, he's
proposing.
saying
What
you
you're
don't
saying
have
is
to
not
pay
what
as
she's
You don't
proposing.
pay as much if you don't
pay
get a
as
job
much.
in your field. If the college fails to get you...
And that's what we have now. If you can't pay your loans, it goes to collections, and they take a percentage of your income.
Fixed interest.
I know people who have this situation going on.
A fixed interest rate.
Yeah. So what's she proposing then?
It's
That's what she's proposing. What we already have. She's proposing what we already have.
It's really not. That's why it's not really working on getting millennial voters. It's not the
See, the problem is when you give a
which I'm
loan
not
to
for that
everybody
either.
who even can't afford to pay it back, the universities know that you're just going to keep coming.
Okay, here's the real problem.
So then they just keep adding. They can just keep charging whatever they want. They can keep raising tuition, even though it's not costing them anymore. They're making you buy books on top of it every single year when there's no need to renew the edition.
Before we get into how much higher education is just taking our wallets and burning them, I think the real issue here, and this is going to get back to something that I talked about on my previous shows, is your workforce development. You have too many people in college. It's a supply and demand thing. You have people that are going to college that shouldn't be going to college.
And then you have people working.
You had
low-level jobs with
most of us grew up saying, okay, whatever, the classic millennial, you can do whatever you want, go to school, dream big, and it'll be fulfilled. I think we're coming to that crossroads right now to say, okay, maybe I should have looked at a trade school. Maybe I should have looked at being an entrepreneur. Maybe I should have started a business. Maybe high school should be training people to think more entrepreneurial and not just part of the corporate slog. And I think that's the biggest problem with higher education right now is they're just forcing so many people into an area. And this is what we're coming out with. These are the end results.
So what's your solution to this problem?
I mean, it's tough because when you go socialist on this, you go more European. And the way the European system works is you take a test at the end of what we would call high school, and it sort of places you. Okay, if you do well on this test, then you get to go to school for free. If you don't do good on this test, then we'll find something else for you, and you won't have to pay, but you're not going to be able to go to school for an engineer if you don't pass the test. Now, does money and influence still play a part in this? Sure, because if you have a lot of money, you can educate your child to the point where they're going to do very well on this test. But at the end of the day, it doesn't kill upward mobility. It doesn't say that person that worked really hard, that grew up in the slums or on the wrong side of the train tracks, if they work really hard and study and devote their time to it, it's up to the student to allow them to succeed, not necessarily the system.
Why not let the bank decide whether or not it's profitable for them or it makes sense for them to give the loan? Why not let the kid come and say, this is what I want to go to school for?
Because
they can look over how many...
Because then nobody would ever get a loan to go to school.
And how do you compare...
No, they did before. That's how it worked before.
How do you compare competing educations? Like, an education from Hempfield might be of more value than an education from Salem.
It's all problems.
But that's fine then. If you have a better education, you might get that little edge.
Then
I would say it's up to the bank to decide whether or not you're going to be able to pay this back.
Yeah, but then
it
goes back to
comfortable. And that way we don't have to bail out the bank.
It goes back to what zip code you're from, is what kind of education you're going to get, and then what kind of income you're going to get. You're taking a whole bunch of people and you're putting them in a corner, saying you're never going to be able to get out of there.
You guys have to be the lay people.
You have to be the
peasants. A's.
Even if they did get straight A's and they came from a district that wasn't as good as the almighty Hempfield, it might not make a difference.
I'm pretty sure a bank would look at them and say, okay, you got straight A's. You want to go to school for this.
Greg,
there's obviously a demand in jobs.
No. Do you trust the private?
But you guys trust the government.
Yeah, Craig, I trust the government somewhat. I'm not scared.
I trust the private sector way more than the government.
To actively
I think
hurt
all those government...
I don't believe the government
is
trying to
trying to make money.
hurt.
Are like Hillary, and they're in government to become wealthy.
Okay, well, I don't. Because there are a lot of other ways. If you want to be wealthy, you enter the private sector.
That's what I'm saying.
That's generally...
If anybody's in the government to get wealthy, then there's something seriously wrong with that.
Hillary did it.
Because trust me, I work for the government, and you don't make that much money.
Records. When you get donations to your private... non-profits, right?
Please donate to the Alec Italiano Foundation.
No,
I'll be sending
Hillary,
4 kids to
the
college.
Way she did it.
I don't know.
Okay, so some of the things that now that I've hit Hillary on some of the things I think she's a bimbo for. One of the things I agree with her on, though, from the debate is we shouldn't be having profit incentives to fill prisons. I don't think that we should be putting away nonviolent criminals unless they're like third offense, because they obviously aren't learning their lesson.
But you do believe in the privatization of prisons
because it costs less. The private prisons.
Who
are
is
able
the
to save
customer
money.
of a private prison?
Thank you, Greg. Exactly. There is no
The,
customer.
the free citizens.
No, there is no
Hmm?
customer.
There's no. What is the product?
By very nature, privatization of prisons wouldn't
It's
just never.
silly. It's not. It doesn't lend itself to the private sector. Period. It's something the government needs to run because the government determines laws.
The government spends more though.
But the government writes the laws, and you don't make money. You're not
So
supposed
you
to
want-
make money from locking people
You want
up.
to spend more to lock people up.
You can't. You're not supposed to make money locking people up.
So we should lose money locking people up.
By definition, it is a sacrifice that the society. If you want to have a jail cell,
It's
to
gonna have to
keep
cost something.
to keep people locked up that you
Well,
feel
it's
are
going to cost us something
detrimental-
anyways. I'm just saying private prisons, they usually tend to cut costs to save money.
Because who has to deal with the product that the prison? Okay, the product
The
that the prison,
prisoners.
the customer is this society. For
you're-
example, the town is the customer receive. Like we are the ones that receive safety by having a
Right.
prison that locks people up.
Your net benefit.
So we're the customer.
Yes, we are the customer.
Mhm.
Now, the product that they're providing
We're the
are
ones paying for
customer
it also.
service to prisoners. Or they're providing like a living service to prisoners. And the prisoners are not the customer. They can have as terrible of a jail cell as they want.
hmm
Who's going to complain?
And that's why I'm saying we need to get the nonviolent offenders out of there. The rapists and murderers, I don't really care how they're treated in there. Don't care.
Heroin dealers?
Heroin dealers, I also think would be a nonviolent criminal.
Okay.
The heroin users
That's
are going to
fine.
use heroin no matter what. The dealer's just making a lot of money on it.
That's going to be a
So
tough
what?
argument to make.
That's just how I feel about
Okay,
that.
well, yeah.
I say decriminalize all drugs. A war on drugs is a waste of money.
Okay, well here's the other. This is the other catch-22 that I want to point out here.
And
is
the
you-
incentive to imprison people, too.
Right.
It has that extra.
When we privatize, you bank on growth.
You have to have. Yeah, you need more criminals.
Because at this point, we're running a business, right?
We could tell them
we're
that
in it
this
to
is-
make
this
money,
is how
so
much
we
you're
have to
gonna
make
get.
sure
Figure
growth is
out
going
the
to
best
happen.
way to make that money.
So just by privatizing the prisons and then decriminalizing at the same point,
Well,
so
how-
you want these prisons to make money, but you want to send less people to them. I don't know how you're
So then
supposed
the
to
private prison puts an incentive on local law
Well,
enforcement.
you got to
to
take.
Now
the
we're talking about
prisons
the
donating.
jails.
The prisons donating to campaigns is the problem.
Are prisons donating? To
Yeah, well,
campaigns?
yeah.
Well, I assume
But
so.
why shouldn't they be allowed to if they're a private business?
But they can then, whatever. but
Yeah, they can, if you're
the
going to let them be
problem is
private, let
that
them donate. They inevitably have to
They're
work
getting
with the
paid
local
back
campaigns.
by keeping marijuana laws in place, and
Well, in order for them to make money, they need people in the jail cell. If
So
all
we
of a
go-
sudden you quit arresting people, then the prison would go under, and then they'd be complaining, they'd be declaring
Smaller- they
bankruptcy and
should've had-
asking the government for help.
they should have had smaller prisons.
I would like to point out, though, contrary to the clip that we heard earlier, millennials, as we're pointing out, care a lot more
Yeah.
about a lot more issues
Very
than
true.
just student debt.
Very
Although
true.
we did touch on student debt a little bit.
True.
Greg, what other topics do we want to
I'm
get into
trying to
here?
see
I do like how, though, in this situation, you are defending them making money when typically you're for taxing them and making them lose money. It's very strange in this one situation.
It seems to me that you believe that if all of a sudden someone pays the taxes, they no longer care about profit. Like all of a sudden, if you're told I got to pay extra, well, I'm not even going to try. I'm not even going to open my business up because I got to pay a little extra to do so.
I'm just going to charge more.
And somebody else can undercut you then.
Right.
And come in and make less profit. You'll go out of business because
Is
you're being
this
a
happening
prick.
to Walmart? That's what I'm
talking. We're going from small business to privatized prisons to globalization of Walmart. Like those are three totally different ways. Like we're looking at different areas of business, and they're not all the same. The small mom and pop shop is not the same as the Walmart.
But
and how we address it.
I'm giving you an example where you can limit the profits that the private prison owner can make, and you're not for it. You're all for like just taxing and just spending more on prisons just so that somebody can't privately
we
own a
should
prison.
have a
What do you do with
standard.
all the private prisons now? Do we have to buy them out and give them
Yeah,
the profits they
they're gone.
expect?
Yes.
So the owner then just gets a free.
The owner, yeah. I mean, they're not going to get a.
They're gonna have to get paid whatever they thought they were gonna make.
No, not whatever they thought, whatever we think they
You
would
don't
make.
think that
Whatever
they're-
we think
you don't
they
think
would
Hillary
make.
Clinton taking donations from them is gonna pay them, not
I'm
pay them
not
back?
sure Hillary is taking donations
When
from
she
private
takes donations from
prisons.
Syria, host nation of terrorism.
Okay, correct. This is very unproductive.
You don't like facts.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm very confused. I don't know how a prison makes money besides by incarcerating more people and providing worse living conditions for the
No,
prisoners.
ways
I
they
don't
can
see
make
how
money.
they
Here's
can make
ways
money.
they can make money. They can buy food in bulk, okay?
They don't do that already.
Which they do, but they can have a sales team who buys when products are on sale.
Who
I
pay-
worked in the food service industry, and this is what companies do. They buy extreme amounts of bulk. The company I worked for bought bread dough when it would go on sale in huge bulk, and they'd overstock the freezer with it.
So you're
Prisons
saying,
do
you're
that. They
saying
overbuy
privatizing
at
the
certain
business
times to save money.
is going to make it naturally more efficient. Is that's what
It's
you're
just
saying?
naturally they're just going to find the shortcuts to
because
make
they're
more
going to
money.
employ somebody to go find out whenever dough's on sale.
And
Why
different
wouldn't-
things
why
like
wouldn't a
food for
federally
one. That's just
funded
one
prison-
And hold
situation.
on,
I'm
Greg,
talking other
that-
situations too.
Anything federally subsidized, just by nature, just loves to waste money, right, Craig? So they're just not going to look for sales.
Typically, yes. And I work in government, so I'm telling you from firsthand experience, they will spend more money on purpose.
I mean, I work in government too.
And
I don't agree with.
They
you.
don't do that.
Totally
No.
disagree.
The end that I work in, we do that on purpose.
Craig, if you can identify points, exact things that a federally funded program is doing that they're
Well, mine's
wasting
not
money.
federally funded, so I guess I'm not the same situation.
Low state funded.
Customer funded.
is
Oh, don't get in. Please
No.
don't go down.
When
this
the
road. Craig
when they
thinks the
when they shut down the government, I was still working. I still got my paycheck.
shut down the
When everyone else wasn't getting paychecks, wasn't working, I was still working.
That still doesn't mean that the money isn't coming from the feds. That just means that you're deemed such a priority service that
the main.
they're not going to stopgap you.
They don't get federal funding.
None.
Zero.
Wow. I'll have to fact check you on it.
Please,
Fact check.
I don't have-
Everybody out there, please fact check
Yeah.
me on that.
Am I allowed to say who you work for?
No, don't say that.
Well, it's going to be hard to fact check it though.
You can fact check me and tell me if I'm correct on that. I guess I shouldn't ask the audience to fact check that because I can't tell anybody.
Yes, Craig.
No,
I have no idea where that is going. The only other thing I wanted to make a comment on about the debate was about what is annoying from that academic side of the oddballs in America right now that expect you to prepare for a debate and study. And the president's kind of a big deal.
God forbid.
God forbid you don't spend Sunday watching football the day before your debate. You actually practice behind a podium. I heard he wouldn't even practice behind a podium. And that's why that whole time he couldn't figure out how high to have the microphone up. He's shifting around. He had no stage presence on how to handle himself. For that
Speaking
hour and a
about
half.
talking into microphones,
Yeah,
Greg.
speaking about talking to the microphones. The whole thing about you having to fill 2 minutes worth of time. Since he really doesn't have a very thorough understanding of what he was talking about, he would quickly drop the hits, get the main point across in 30 seconds, and then have a minute and a half. Well, he had no idea how to fill the time. That's what we got the airports. I have absolutely no idea where he was going with that.
Because I think LaGuardia probably wastes more money than anybody in their airports. That could be so much more simpler.
I don't know if he's ever been to a third world airport. If he thinks LaGuardia is third world.
LaGuardia is where his home.
Yeah, I know.
home
I mean,
airport is.
it's definitely a first world airport.
He's
It may
never
not
been
be
to
the
Latrobe
nicest.
Airport then.
Yeah, what does that make Latrobe?
Yeah, what does that make
Actually,
Latrobe?
One security guard.
Yeah.
Latrobe's it's just a small airport, but Latrobe's pretty nice, actually.
Yeah, you're right. It is pretty nice.
I've been to LaGuardia and I've been to
I bet Donald
Latrobe.
Trump would call it third
LaGuardia just looks like a waste, just a lot of waste. That's what. When
The-
I walk through, I just see waste.
The
of
only
money. That's all
airport I don't like is
We know, Chris.
It's Phoenix
We know
because
how
they don't have a
much you love
smoking section.
No, they don't.
There should be you shouldn't have to walk back through security to have a cigarette and then not be allowed to vape anymore. In some places, that's
Welcome to 21st century.
You used to be able to smoke on a plane, flying through the air.
You used to be able to smoke anywhere.
The days, but those are things where when you're prepared, you have your whole answer, how you, your transition from point
Right.
to point, as opposed to just going off on some tangent about.
To me, it's just more proof that Donald Trump's a snake oil salesman, and he's conning over all of America into believing that he is somehow going to make us great again, when there is no claim to anything other than the opposite, which is that we already are.
He didn't say Crooked Hillary though.
No, he did not.
He
which-
said
which is
Secretary
surprising.
Clinton.
He did, and he made a point to say that very sarcastically. And and then the next day he said Crooked Hillary all day. If anything, it looks weak. The fact that he's almost scared to say it to her face. That he can get all morning.
It's
he
an
was saying
opening for her to
Crooked
jump down
Hillary.
his throat. That's why.
Yeah, very true.
You know.
And then the post spin.
Hillary can be a
Oh
fighter.
my. So he goes into the spin room after the debate, says Lester Holt did a great job. Wakes up the next morning, calls in Fox and Friends, doubles down on the Miss Universe saying, well, yeah, she gained a lot of weight. That was a problem, and Lester Holt was biased. Okay.
To me, that was the
Everyone
craziest
knows
part.
when you're blaming the media, when you're blaming the referee, you're just being a sore loser. That's all it is. Because that's all it's the same as when someone complains about the officiating after a sports game.
He doesn't feel like he can leave it up to the media to call it out for him because
It's not the
obviously-
media's job to do so.
Exactly. So whose job is it then?
Donald's.
So that's what he did.
But he's wrong on it. They weren't being hard on. Who's gonna? Lester Holt didn't do anything biased against him. He didn't stop him from doing any one thing that he wanted to do.
Like I said, he remembered to always give Hillary the chance to respond, but kept forgetting to let Donald.
When exactly was Donald not allowed to respond or follow up?
It was during the debate.
Oh, can you give me an example during the debate, Craig? I know
Um,
all of the talking during the debate.
Write down
I think he was referencing.
I didn't write down
the three times you watched it, and this is such a big deal for you, that there were times when Donald wasn't allowed to follow up or
That's
ask
just what
another
I
question.
noticed. Is they weren't. Not that he wasn't allowed. When Donald would constantly have to say like my turn
He
to
interrupted.
respond or whatever. Hillary did the same thing though. The one time, which they can't just let that stand because, the way she laughs it off or whatever. But no, typically Hillary was given the chance to respond to anything, and they usually tried to change the topic before Donald would respond.
Well, debate rules. One person opens, and the second person always gets a rebuttal.
But that's not how that was going either. They would let Hillary go, Donald would go, and then Hillary go again. They try to not let
the rebuttal.
And then you can't rebuttal that when she asked questions again. She would ask questions, and they would try to change the topic. He wouldn't get a chance to respond to the questions. And if he tried,
If you can give me an example of when it happened,
Well,
I'll believe.
I
I
should've
didn't
put the
see
sound clips.
that. I didn't see that. I didn't hear that one time. I was looking for that. I actually was impressed that they allowed Donald to interrupt her as many times as he did.
Yeah.
He interrupted every single question
I have to agree with you
during
there.
the whole question.
he did interrupt a lot.
Like that. That's kind of normally a candidate lets
That's
the
your
other person finish
cross-examination
and
there.
then talks.
Right.
But Donald just decided to just talk right over top of everybody else. Talk over the moderator. And Lester Holt allowed him to. Like there was no point when he said, "Donald, no, you've talked over your time."
In my
he has done
criticism
that.
of
He
Lester
has- he
Holt,
did do
The
that.
crowd. He disciplined the crowd.
Yeah,
No, he did tell
which is
Donald to
stupid.
stop.
Discipline the crowd.
They did tell
Oh,
Donald
he
to
tried.
stop.
He tried both of them with the 2 minutes, but
Yeah.
then you got to break up the Fox buzzer.
Yeah.
Fox has the buzzer that after 2 minutes they just start like you can't just tell
Lester
him
Holt
to stop.
didn't. In all my criticism of Lester, he did not embarrass himself.
I thought he did
which
a
is,
fine
I think,
job.
what he was going
I thought
for.
Matt Lauer did a fine job. I think we're being
When did Matt Lauer?
the town hall that they were said he was too hard on Hillary and wasn't hard enough on Trump. I think this is just sore losers.
Right.
Like really, I don't have respect for people complaining about media bias.
I'm
your
complaining
own
about it.
spin.
I didn't lose.
Control your own
My
spin.
candidate didn't lose in this whole thing. So I don't understand where you're saying sort of losers.
Gary Long Dong Johnson.
Yeah,
I mean-
my candidate wasn't up there.
Oh, well, actually, you could argue that Gary Johnson was the only one that won
We saw
by
two
not
Democrats
by not taking
go at
place.
each other.
You
I
could
mean,
theoretically say that.
America lost. America did lose. So I guess you're right. We are sore losers.
Oh, then he had his campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway, admitted that he violated the Cuban trade embargo back like 5 or 6 years ago.
Oh yeah, I saw
Just
that.
a straight up.
Because he had what, $68,000 into business ventures.
He
down in
paid a
Cuba?
consultant group to go to Cuba and see how feasible it would be to open up a casino.
i.e., smoke cigars and hobnob with people, right?
Oh, and then when he claimed the fake polls that he won, like he talked about how he won all the online polls, and it's like, you won clap polls. Like they were literally like how loud, how many times you could click a button. Like the polls he was quoting were you could vote 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Nothing scientific about it.
He did not win one major news network or any kind of media outlet. He claimed. Oh, didn't he claim the Google poll that doesn't exist?
I don't know. I didn't hear that.
There was some internet poll that he was also claiming. It's like, hey, if you say you won enough,
The
and you
polling
believe
to
it,
me, like, it's the reason why Gary Johnson was on the debate stage, because the networks control the polls. So if the networks don't want him there, then they find ways to make the data work against them. I mean, that's
poll fixing.
It's the truth that we live in, and anybody ignorant of that fact, it's not just polls. It's any number. It's any data that you can contrive to basically prove your point for you. You could start with one fact trying to prove one thing, and then the right spin master completely turns it into something else the other day. That's politics.
You got to remember too, a lot of Donald's support is coming from people who may have never voted before.
Yeah.
A lot of it's new votes. So those people aren't being counted in the scientific polls because they're not known as likely voters. Typically, the scientific polls are likely voters.
When they call people?
Yeah, they usually call likely voters. People who voted in the past they expect to vote. People who've never voted in their life, they're not going to call them and find out what they care.
I'm pretty sure they're just given a list of numbers. I think these places just they go through
They're probably going off.
You got 10 people that are given
They
different
usually
lists.
claim it's likely voters.
I don't know. I don't put a lot of stock into polls in general, to be perfectly honest. I
Yeah.
kind of get annoyed that the only time either candidate finds them relevant is when they're winning. And as soon as they start losing, the polls are liars.
Donald Trump's a perfect example of that. I'm in the polls all through the primary.
I hate
Look
the
at the polls. Look at
Check
the polls.
out the polls.
Look at the
They're
polls.
liars. It's a fix. I don't like that. I don't like the claiming a fix in advance. That's another thing. You're anticipating losing, and you're already thinking of your excuse. That's
They are catching
not a
voter
class
fraud,
act.
though.
What?
They're catching fraud, aren't they?
When they got that Russian hacking. The Russians been hacking like different databases. And essentially, if they like scrub voters off, people could show up on election day and their name be no longer registered to vote.
Is that real? Is that Donald Trump over there with the Russians getting hauled?
They don't know who it's going to affect. It could affect either party, and no matter which side it would affect, it would taint the entire state's election. If all of a sudden a county's voter database was edited, and all the Democrats or all the Republicans were deleted from the records,
right?
How are we gonna? How can we count the state? We're gonna have to have a complete revote.
To me, that's a big. We talked about technology in my show earlier today.
I'm nervous about that, especially now that we don't have a Supreme Court. Because you talk about the Al Gore election back in 2000.
Right.
That was decided by a Supreme Court decision.
Right.
We have a split court that is incapable of making any choice.
Just want to remind everybody out there, I'm assuming this is our cue that we're about to be done, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're coming up on an hour here.
Any Democrats out there looking to tax the 1%, remember, Trump's your man. He's ready to put tariffs on all them foreign businesses, bringing all your rich people here with their companies overseas. He wants to tax them.
Okay. And most importantly, I'm just gonna
just like
over top of this. Most importantly, do your own research. Do not take any of us here at our word. We're trying. We're doing our best to show the confusion going on in Millennial.
Except for me.
I don't know how
I'm always
tolerate sitting in the middle of this right now. I'm about to start throwing things right now.
I thought about it.
Yeah. It's a good thing everything is pretty well bolted down to the ground.
Trump will support Hillary if she wins. Just remember that.
Craig, why don't you talk about your conspiracy that Donald Trump's a plant made by Hillary to fix the entire election?
I don't know how to deny that.
Okay, next week.
How do I? It seems like to me he's just here trying to make her win.
Assuming that the vice presidential debate is as boring as Mike Pence and Tim Kaine, they just look like boring people.
I look forward to the last one because Joe Biden was in it.
I did. I wish Joe Biden would make it. If Bill Weld should be in this VP debate, representing the Libertarian Party. Speaking of which, I think that's what we'll be focusing on in our next show.
Is that
the
Hillary?
appeal of the third? Jill Stein, Gary Johnson. Is your vote wasted? Is it not?
Well, Jill Stein.
We'll also touch on the VP.
We'll touch on the VP, and maybe the Electoral College will come into that play too.
How am I supposed to like Jill Stein?
I'm not saying you have to like them. You just.
There's not one thing I've ever seen about her that I'm like, oh yeah, she would be a good president.
Send me on my way, guys. Thank you for listening to the Craig and Greg Show. It's been a pleasure being with you for this last hour.
Another line.
Please go to editorialreview.us to learn more. Please, I apologize for both of Craig and Greg on this show.
Woo! Another line.
Everybody have a good night out there.
Just collapsed.